In conjunction with what we talked about for the magical modification card in Practicum 1, you can also use that card as a talisman, placing it on an altar to act as a battery of that energy wavelength, again, like a beacon, drawing forth the properties associated with that card so you have more of that energy in your environment to draw from, which is how you clear paths of opportunity toward you. Or at least, that's what a witch would do. You can slip it into your day planner or handbag, keep it in a desk drawer at your office, post it somewhere like a paper sigil talisman. So once I was watching a famous YouTuber, not in the spiritual mystic communities at all, it was actually, I think, a beauty YouTuber, a beauty guru, and I saw in the backdrop of their videos their beauty mirror, their cosmetic mirror, and they had a tarot card sort of, posted onto the side of their cosmetic mirror, and I think that's a really great idea for using tarot as a talisman. If I'm going to be using a tarot card as a talisman, then I will activate the card. So I'm going to be placing it on an altar, slipping it into a pocketbook, then I do activate it. Everyone's going to have their own opinion on this, but if you do want to activate it, the language that I use for that would be, I hereby evoke the powers of the blank, blank being the card you're using. Activate this card so that it radiates of that life force and manifests for me blank, and in that second blank you would put in your statement of intention. For the Ace of Coins or Ace of Pentacles, then my recitation to activate the card as a talisman would be, I hereby evoke the powers of the Ace of Coins, activate this card so that it radiates of that life force and manifests for me profitable gains and financial opportunity. Just as an example, using the Four of Wands as a talisman, it would be, I hereby evoke the powers of the Four of Wands, activate this card so that it radiates of that life force and manifests for me domestic prosperity or strong business alliances, whichever was your intention to activate the talisman with. If your talisman of choice is, for example, the Temperance card, it would be, I hereby evoke the powers of temperance, activate this card so that it radiates of that life force and manifests for me a balanced attunement of both external and internal equilibrium. If you're charging and activating the Queen of Wands, I would use, I hereby evoke the powers of the Queen of Wands, activate this card so that it radiates of that life force and manifests for me beauty, charisma, and the powers of attraction. So I think you get the idea now. You would just take the card, hover your hand over it, however you tend to do charges, and then you just say, I hereby evoke the powers of the, state the name of the card, activate this card so that it radiates of that life force and manifests for me, and then state your intention for the card's manifestation. Practicum 2 was an isolated, focused tarot reading that applied only Hermetic principles. It's a training practicum to show you one way to study and apply esoteric principles to your craft. You have to isolate that principle only and practice many tarot readings interpreted through that principle only. And that's pretty much it. That was the whole point of Practicum 2. Once you've mastered application of that principle that you've chosen to master and seeing those principles in the cards, you go back to your regularly scheduled programming. But Practicum 2 does demonstrate one way you can really master esoteric bodies of knowledge and then begin to expertly apply it to your readings. The standalone video for Practicum 3 is one you can watch over and over again, I hope, until that evocative feeling becomes encoded into you and you don't need the so-called training wheels anymore. I know I keep calling it training wheels, but it's really not. I mean, I think even an advanced practitioner can get a lot out of Practicum 3, I hope. Let's be clear though, the whole pomp and circumstance of the candle and dress and incense and the way I was talking at you is all about evoking that state of mind that you need to be in for conducive spirit petitions. Once you've got a hold of that state of mind and you know how to replicate it, you should be able to replicate it anytime you want without all of that pomp and circumstance. So the whole ritualized process we went through in Practicum 3 isn't what you have to do every single time you do a tarot reading where you want to have a spirit summoning or spirit petition and have that presence available. It's just about teaching you what it feels like so that you can have that spirit presence. And then once you know how that feels, you're able to replicate it inside of you anytime that you want. I think I'm using the term spirit very loosely here, and maybe simply using the word energetic properties or characteristics might have been better. I don't know. But I found that the tarot is really great at detecting, measuring, and revealing to you the energetic properties of a room, a place, animal life, and plant life. So it's not just used for reading people. The reason I asked you to try this reading, tell me your story with a tree or plant, is because the presence of that energetic property I'm referring to, that spirit, is really palpable in trees. So once you are able to sense out and feel that energy, the advancing step is to learn how to control it. That's probably for a different course though, right? Practicum 4 is about training you to feel that magnetic field symbolized by the Ouroboros or lemniscate we keep talking about throughout the video lectures. I really want you to give this one a try, Practicum 4, and try to commune with land spirits, because I want you to establish a more interpersonal and interactive relationship with the natural world around you. I would go so far as to controversially argue that a witch isn't really a witch without that relationship. I really hope you dig Practicum 5, because I do. The Practicum isn't a tarot reading, as you saw. It's more of a technique for training and developing both clairvoyance and clairaudience. The technique encompasses components of path working, guided meditation, a little bit of ASMR, I think, and hypnotherapy to get you to enhance your own abilities as a practitioner. I consider it my proprietary method I've developed and am sharing with you in the hopes that it's going to possibly, maybe, be a game changer for you. Another neat application of Practicum 5 is its nod to the concept of modern witchcraft. To pay homage to that concept of modern witchcraft, especially witchcraft practiced in the 21st century, I thought about integration of modern technology in witchcraft. So you would have noticed that the sights and sounds and symbolism and like every aspect of the detailing to how I designed Practicum 5 was with the witch's approach. Every little bit of what you saw on screen, even down to the timing, the coloring, everything was sort of crafted with the idea of trying to figure out what metaphysical correspondences to bring in to truly be able to create something that will amplify your clairvoyance and clairaudience. Here's something I want to say. A witch in any given space or time is going to draw upon the powers and capabilities of that magnetic force field for everything in the surrounding environment. You're not a badass witch when you use animal skulls you bought on Etsy or add a veil of blood to your potions or run around naked in the woods high on LSD. You're a badass witch when you have the wit to look around you, quickly identify the potential of what you've got, and then maximize that potential energetically. I think that's badass. The standalone video for Practicum 5 is another one you can watch over and over, and it should be pretty versatile. If you have a really important question you want to do a personal tarot reading for, before you start, precede your tarot reading by rewatching Practicum 5 and going through the path working exercise. I believe it will augment your state of mind, put you in that altered state of consciousness, and break new ground with your tarot reading.